Hello everybody, it is Abraxas 1212 here. We're gonna be actually not playing anybody today. In this video, I'm gonna show you guys a deck tutorial on the Agro Druid. Some of you guys may want to know what is in my deck because, as you can see from the last video, I did very well with it. Finished games pretty quickly. So we're gonna get straight into it. Hit the Agro Druid. We have Innervate, which helps combo with a ton of cards, such as Leroy Jenkins, maybe getting them out early for the early damage, or Living Mana. Whenever you cast, you know you have 0 mana, you can use that, and then use Mark of the Lotus to give 3 threes across the board, which is it's insanely strong. Abusive Sergeant, just made to, or just used to take out early cards and deal early damage. Argent Squire, just a really solid 1/1 drop with Divine Shield, is just very hard to deal with and super annoying. Bloodsail Corsair is used to just take out weapons, early weapons, such as rogue weapons or Fiery War Axe from the Warrior. Enchanted Raven, just a 1/2/2, very strong and just powerful card to put out. Firefly is basically a it's basically a 2 mana 2/4, which is actually pretty decent. You got Mark of the Lotus, which is one of the core cards of the deck. Gives all your minions +1/+1, which is crazy during the early game. Makes your minions really hard to deal with and deal more damage. Bluegill Warrior, just for the early damage and taking out some minions. Power of the Wild. It's basically used to give your minions +1/+1. Usually you don't use to summon the Panther. You usually don't need it. You just need the power in the early game so your minions will survive and do damage. Ravasaur Runt is used for just to be annoying early game, and you're most likely gonna have 2 minions already out there, so it's just an easy card to summon. Tertullian Forager, a little bit of an RNG card. You might get something that might be game changing later. And it's just a 2/2/2, which is not that bad. Egg Napper, really solid card, 3/3/1. You want the early damage, so the 3 attack is perfect. Even if it dies, you still get a 2/2 pretty much split up, which is really nice. Savage Roar is one of the most important cards in the deck. I can't say that enough. This will win you so many games if you have it in your hand. You just got to use it right, and you can just destroy your opponents. Defender of Argus, to just stick some defense in there. You might need it, and you get the +1/+1 for 2 minions, which is just amazing. Leroy Jenkins, usually almost always used to take out the enemy hero when he's low on health. That's basically the only thing he's used for. And yeah, and Living Mana is one of the core cards as well. If you have no one on the field, you just want to stick this guy out. It's perfect. You get 2/2s across the board. It's amazing what this card can do. So yeah, that's pretty much what I have for the Agro Druid at the moment. I've been looking. There might be better ones out there. I'm thinking this is one of the. It's a pretty good deck. And what I like about it is that it's one of my cheapest decks I've ever made. The only legendary is Leroy Jenkins, and you don't even have to put him in there. You can just literally put a charge 3/1 in there if you want. It's the same. It's just this guy is better, but they're both charges and they both can take out your enemies. And you know the rares are not too bad whenever it comes to crafting, and there's just only 2 epics. I mean this deck, it does not take much to even make. So yeah, that's the Agro Druid. Now some of you might have want to see the Guarding the Shard deck, which is the warrior deck. So obviously you need the Flyer Plume's Heart, which is the core card of the deck. You need that to get Sulfuras, the weapon that makes you have the Ragnaros power. Molten Blade, just have some RNG weapons in there. You might use it, might not. Got Whirlwind to trigger tons of stuff in the deck. You have a lot of enraged minions, and if you want to draw a card from Acolyte of Pain, you got Whirlwinds for that too. Got Battle Rage, obviously for card draw. You're gonna need this in basically every deck. And this is the Warrior core card for drawing stuff. Execute, always a good card to have. Take out a big minion, you might need it. That can combo with Whirlwind as well. Fiery War Axe, just for the early game, taking out the minions. Public Defender is just a perfect 0/7. It's a big card for 2 mana, and it completes a quest. Slam, just for the card draw mainly, not for too much of the damage. Stolen Goods is always a good card to have because you're always going to have a taunt in your hand. Stubborn Gastropod, just for good to taking out big minions. You have poison and it's a taunt, which is just amazing. Acolyte of Pain, just like I said before, for the card draw. Very nice to have in your pretty much every deck. Ravaging Ghoul is pretty much just a Whirlwind with a 3/3, which is pretty good. Stonehill Defender is is also pretty good. Always a solid card. You want this card in almost every deck of yours because it can just be game changing, which you get. You can discover any taunt minion in the game, which is crazy. Well, in this rotation. Bloodhoof Brave is a very nice card. Has Enrage. Could turn into a 5. I don't even 5/5/5. It's crazy. Alley Armor Smith, one of the core cards as well. It gives you tons of armor and it's a taunt, which is just ridiculous. Brawl, definitely game changing. Takes all the minions and just has 1 survive, which could be, you can just clear the board with just 1 card. Direhorn Hatchling is one of the better cards as well because you can get a 6/9 with only cost of 5 mana, which is just huge. Second rate bruiser if they have too many cards on the other side of the field. You can just put this guy out for 3 mana, 4/5 taunt. It's just there for there. Nice taunt. Grommash Hellscream, usually used to take out your enemies or deal tons of damage at one point. So Got the Slither is just like the cherry on top. He's the biggest taunt in the deck, and he can't be targeted by spells or hero powers, which is just crazy. I mean, you can do a ton of stuff with this card. He can hold the door for you if you're about to die, and just all around a great card. So yeah, those are 2 decks that I use pretty frequently. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you on the next one.